A lot of actions happening on the channel and in my theater room. I'm really excited about all the new developments going on. A lot of the upgrades that are happening in preparation for moving to the new theater. Obviously, I want to when I see a good deal, I try to jump on it. Part of my motto for this channel is how to get really good performance at a relatively attainable budget. First of all, I don't have the kind of cash to be throwing around buying super high-end equipment in the tens of thousands of dollars. I don't have that kind of money, and if I did, I don't even think I'd do that because, again, diminishing returns. But we'll talk about that a little more. So I just want to talk about the processor that I chose for this for the new theater, and very temporarily this theater as well. I chose the Anthem AVM 70 8K version. So I'm going to go through a couple of reasons why I chose this processor, but I also want to talk about the other options that I considered when making this decision, because I think sharing that with you kind of gives a little perspective of my thought process and how I came up with this particular processor. Obviously, I had a budget in mind. I wanted to be under $5,000. That limited my options, obviously. So occasionally I'm cruising like Crutchfield, and I saw that they had a scratch and dent deal on one of their AVM 70 8K units, and it was $588 less. I think it was $3,419 or something. I'm like thinking, man, that $588 almost pays for my screen, which is about $800 and something dollars. So Crutchfield is one of the best companies that you can buy AV equipment from. They have some of the best customer service, really good warranty. It's like you call them up, no questions asked. I've returned products to them in the past, and if you're ever considering buying some equipment there, no issues. If you don't like it, call them up. They'll take it back. No questions asked kind of company, and that's why I'll never stop. I've been shopping at Crutchfield for literally decades, and one of the best places where you can buy AV equipment. The shipping was incredibly fast. Crutchfield's always good about shipping. It's usually, I think I ordered it on a Friday and I got it on a Saturday, because when you see those scratch and dent deals, you kind of have to jump on them quickly or else you miss out. And again, I inspected the unit. I haven't seen a single scratch or dent. So as far as I'm concerned, this is like an open box unit. So again, another plus. I'm not going to say that, if you actually end up buying a scratch and dent unit that you'll have the same luck, but in my case, it looked brand new, or looked like somebody installed it, didn't like it, and sent it back. So again, I haven't seen any scratches on this thing. So as far as specs, again, this is HDMI 2.1. It supports 9.2.6. So again, it supports 9 bed layer channels, 2 independent subwoofers, and 6 overhead channels. So basically, it'll give me about 95% of what I need in my room. So one of the things you got to notice, so again, this is the AVM 70, this is the 8K version. Obviously, it doesn't display it on the front, but it's there really isn't much of a difference there. As far as the way it looks compared to the AVM 70, there isn't much of a difference. It doesn't even display that it's the 8K version, but it is. I don't even have an 8K television or even a 4K 120 television, so mostly got this one for future-proofing. Didn't really need it, but this is the version that's available now, and it's the one I decided was the best choice for me. But yeah, as you can see, this is like a nice little, looks like this either plastic or glass here. I think it's glass here, and obviously this entire thing isn't a screen. It's like the 3-inch screen here, where you can I'll show you a little later in the video how that works. Obviously you got the volume knob here, which is has some nice resistance to it, and you have obviously a menu button, and other buttons here, power button, headphone jack. It's a lot more interesting in the back, so let's turn it around. Looks like you have a chassis ground. I guess that's for phono, the phono input. Bunch of XLR inputs. I believe there's 17 here, because there's 10 on the bottom and 7, so there's 17. So this is actually, technically, they call it a 15.2, so it's a 17 channel processor really, when you think about it, because you can do 2 subwoofers out of this thing and 15 speaker channels. We have unbalanced pre-outs over here, and we have a bunch of analog inputs over here. So so you have choice. You can go balanced or unbalanced over here, and you have the same amount of pre-outs in both cases. So it's a really great, lot of options here. They really didn't leave anything out that I can tell. So yeah, you got 3 HDMI outs. These are all HDMI 2.1 capable, all the outs and all the ins as well. You have 3 optical digital audio inputs and even an optical digital out, 2 coax digital audio out inputs. You have 3 trigger outs and 1 trigger in. Here, 1 RS-232, again, also used for like smart home stuff, so home automation kind of thing. Looks like some antennas here for, I guess, for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. They did include the antennas were included in the packaging. I didn't unbox this. I'm not showing you the unboxing because this is actually a considered a scratch and dent Crutchfield unit from Crutchfield, so I saved like $588 on it. Honestly, I have yet to find the scratch or the dent on it. I have no idea where that is. I don't know why they called it that, but you know, I'm happy with that so far. I haven't seen anything that I would consider like a blemish or anything, but it looks like a brand new unit, honestly. So let's have a look at the remote, the Anthem remote. It's sort of a monochromatic. There's absolutely no colors to it. There's really nothing special going on with this remote. It just gets the job done. So I like the fact that it's backlit, but you got to hit this little button here, which you may or may not see in the dark. I wish if you hit a button it would turn on, but you got to actually hit this button. But yeah, overall a pretty good unit. It does the job. Let me talk about the other options that I was considering. Again, all under $5,000. My number one option was the Emotiva processors. Obviously, I have Emotiva amps. I thought they would go together quite well. Emotiva has the RMC-1, which is a 16-channel processor. And again, I also considered some of their cheaper ones, just as a stopgap. They're still HDMI 2.0. Again, it doesn't affect me that much I'm not really much of a gamer. The HDMI 2.0 for movies works just fine, for TV shows as well. You really don't need HDMI 2.1 unless you're going to be gaming in your theater room. I may do some gaming, but it'll probably be light gaming in here, if anything. So 2.0 would have been fine. I'm okay with 4K 60. So that really wasn't the concern. One of my biggest concerns about it was the interface is a little old looking. Again, as long as it works, it's okay, but I guess I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to that. As far as what I've heard, I don't think there's much of a web interface to configure your stuff through a computer. I could be wrong about that. I don't know that, but I know the Anthem support has a really good web interface as well, so I can go on my laptop, make adjustments as needed from there. Another plus for the Emotiva is that it has DiRAC. All 3 of the processors have DiRAC, which is great. I've heard it's like the gold standard for like room correction right now. The AVM 70 has Arc Genesis, which is really good as well. I gave up DiRAC, but I got Arc Genesis. Arc Genesis is really good. I hear it's also very user friendly. If Emotiva ever gets that like expansion, those pre-out expansion ports like settled and stuff, and maybe they upgrade to 2.1, maybe they polish their interface a little more, I may switch over to them, unless another competitor comes out with that can process more than just 15 channels. Because that's what I need to support my new theater room. I think Emotiva does a really good job with the whole like modularity of their processors. They give you the option of upgrading. If a new HDMI standard comes out, they can give you the option of upgrading. Obviously, they're not going to do it for free, but and you'd have to send in your unit. It's not the kind of thing you can do at home unless you have really good technical skills that are way above my pay grade. But Emotiva, the RMC-1, which is again 16 channels. So the reason why I was considering that one is that it had they had those expansion ports, which they claim to be able to allow the unit to process more than just 16 channels in the future. Had that been implemented like right now, I would have bought that one, no questions asked, because I actually need 17 channels of processing. The AVM 70 only does 15 channels plus subwoofers. I need 17, so I need enough processing to do another set of side surrounds. The only processors that support that are Storm Audio and Trinov, and they're tens of thousands of dollars each. So I can't. Again, I'm not gonna. That's way above my budget. Not gonna buy that. even if I had the money, I probably wouldn't buy it anyway. To get my 2 sets of side surrounds working, I'm basically going to repeat or split the signal. So the 2 side surrounds are going to be getting identical signals. And the side surrounds are going to be positioned right next to each row of seats. So hopefully it'll work out. I've seen other people that have done this, and it's worked out quite well. The other processor I was considering was the Monoprice, but you know, they haven't had any of them available for, I think it's been over a year since they've had them in stock. Basically ruled it out on its own. I really like the aesthetics of the Anthem processors. I like the little screen. It's a nice clean aesthetic. I really like that. So yeah, so those are the competitors that I considered. So I'll show you what's included in the box now.
Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
When you buy one of these things, you get an ARC, what's called an ARC mic kit, which is what you use to actually do the room correction. Also, they'll give you a remote control, a couple of batteries, some antennas, I guess Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas, obviously a power cord. So let's open this box up and see what's inside. Okay, so this is what you get. Looks like you get a USB-C cable, USB-C to USB-A cable. Looks like you get a microphone. Looks a lot like you get a microphone here. Looks a lot like my UMIC 1 microphone, but it's a USB-C there. Comes in a little cloth bag thing. You got a tripod stand and adapter. Let me see what this looks like. So here's the tripod stand and adapter. Some assembly appears to be required. Let me figure this out and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I just assembled the microphone, and I'm assuming it goes something like this. I guess you just set this up on your seat. Obviously you're going to want to have the mic closer to there, so it'd probably be something along these lines. Obviously I'm going to lower it. This is way higher than head height. I love the fact that they include this I've always needed a mic with a boom kind of style here, but this is really great. So this is the Arc Genesis microphone, Anthem one, and this is it versus the UMIC 1 mini DSP. Very similar. So yeah, that's the comparison. I'm gonna be in this room another like 3, maybe 4 months, so I'll be able to give you my full opinion of how this works in a more traditional 7.2.4 setup. This can handle quite easily. I'm gonna go through the whole setup process with you. Let's set this thing up. So again, so let's get this thing set up. So the first thing I got to do is take out the Pioneer Elite receiver that I've had for a long time. It's actually bittersweet. This thing was incredible. Gonna miss it. So this receiver may stay in this room for the new owner of this house, or I will put it in my, I have another home theater in my home office where I'm gonna have an 11-channel setup, so this will work just great there. It may not be gone forever, but again, it might have a nice new owner, and it actually may make me kind of happy that it'll continue living on in this room. Let's get this thing out and put the new Anthem in. All right, here it comes. This thing weighs a lot more than you think. You know, given that this thing doesn't have any amplifiers in it, it is heavier than you think. Yeah, it weighs about 20 pounds. Again, sorry for the mess of the wires here. So one thing to note is that since this is a processor, it's not as deep as the receiver that it replaces. But so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and connect everything real quick, and then we'll go through the setup process. Before I move forward, I actually found the labels. I'm gonna label my pre-out wires so I can figure out which is which a little easier, so make it easier to connect later on. Receivers usually come with this. I believe this came with a Denon that I bought recently, so I'm going to go ahead and use it right now. So everything's connected. I just obviously I didn't use the XLR inputs because I don't have cables for it yet, and I just and in the new theater I'll probably do that one day, but for now I'm good. As you can see, there are the pre-outs there, shining a light on them. All right, so let's turn it on. There's the power button right there. Everything goes on. One thing I noticed, that this thing turns on really fast. There is not much of it. There, it's done. That's the no more startup time, and the amps went on perfectly. I didn't even have to trigger. I didn't even have to configure the triggers to work. So as you can see right now, I got my Anthem turned on, and I got my Xbox Series S, which is my only gaming system in this room. And I'm in my home theater room right now, and so I'm running the cable from the Anthem over there, and it's running all the way over here, and I have my 4K TV turned on over there, and as you can see, it's connected to the TV, and my other connection is out. So this is the only HDMI cable that's connected to my TV right now, and it is working as expected. So let's check this out. So I'm using my Xbox controller right now, which is transmitting all the way to my theater room, and let's check out the settings. First thing, I don't notice any lag whatsoever, even though I'm running about a 50-foot cable. As you can see, the resolution is 4K, UHD, 60 Hz refresh rate, and we can go to the details. Obviously, Samsungs are notorious for not supporting Dolby Vision. Does not support 4K UHD, 4K 120. Most TVs don't. So this is pretty typical of what most HDR TVs can handle. Other than Dolby Vision, a lot of TVs handle Dolby Vision. Like I said, Samsung doesn't really support it. So let's go into video modes. As you can see, this cable allows me to turn on low latency mode. So appears to be, so I'm turning it on. You're seeing that live. It worked okay. And allow variable refresh rate. I'm going to add that as well. And I'm going to keep it. Why not? So yeah, I can use both of these settings along, I'm using HDR, 4K, all that stuff. This is me a couple of weeks later, about a week and a half later of getting the Anthem, and I gotta say, this thing is incredible. I have a lot of footage on the AVM 70, so I'm gonna divide it up in different videos. This is like my initial impressions video. Maybe down the line I'll make a review video when I've lived with it a little longer, even though I do feel like I'm giving my full impression now, and I have everything tweaked and set up. So I'm gonna be splitting up my content in at least 3 videos. This is I'm going to do initial impressions video. At some point, I'm going to upload a video where I go over how to set up the thing. Very granular, probably very boring video, but I'm going to put it out there. And if you want to watch it, I'm going to put a link up there so you can check it out. I'm also going to publish a web UI interface video where I go over all the settings on my laptop, and I'm going to post that as well. I'll add a card up there at some point so you can check it out. Again, I'm not in any rush to publish that stuff, so it'll go up when it goes up. But for now, you can have my overall thoughts on this Anthem processor. Just to sum it up, the Anthem, I love the aesthetics of the Anthem. I think it looks really cool. It's got some good weight. It's got really good components. It's like future-proof. It's got HDMI 2.1. It's 8K compatible. I don't even have anything that's 8K. I don't even have anything that's 4K 120. I thought Arc Genesis was very easy, user-friendly to set up. It kind of walks you through how to do it, through everything. I did have to do some tweaking for bass response. I felt like the bass was just not impactful enough for me, and I had to raise the bass considerably. I'll talk about that a little more in my more in-depth setup video that I'm going to put out there, and how to do that and what I did. Basically, I did boost the bass quite a significant amount to get it to where I could feel the bass even at more moderate volumes, because I'm not constantly blasting this room, because I usually watch movies when my kids are asleep. And one more thing to note is I said that this was a scratch and dent deal from Crutchfield. I think I saved over $500 on it. Turns out the Crutchfield and Anthem itself put out a sale for this unit, and the sale price was $3,400. So I called up Crutchfield, and they actually adjusted the price of it and gave me an additional discount, so that I think it ended up costing me $3,008. So I ended up saving $1,000 on this thing, and I couldn't be happier, especially at that price. So when I got my second Emotiva amp, I thought I had reached some kind of peak level of performance in this room, but it turns out there was even more performance to be had. One thing to note out of the difference between my receiver and the Anthem, even after I configured everything and ran, the Arc Genesis setup and all that stuff, and I even tweaked it and reran it again, I've noticed that, for one, it plays louder. I don't know if it has something to do with the pre-outs being there's just a better pre-out signal, maybe a hotter signal. to the amplifiers, but it does seem louder. I haven't even had the AVM 70 even anywhere close to reference level, because it would be just, it would blow out my eardrums. It's just so loud. So I don't know if it's something that I need to tweak or to lower the level, or I don't know if that's actually maybe what my receiver thought was reference level really wasn't reference level. You know, the one thing that's taking a little getting used to is the lack of an on-screen menu. Having to do tweaks on my laptop every time I want to do something with like a receiver and more old school setups. I like the fact that I could hit the setup button on a receiver and see, you know, just tweak a few things on the screen without having to go to my laptop. But I guess this is kind of like when you get to this level, you kind of have to embrace it. And in my case, the AVM 70 is going to be living in a closet, in an AV closet, so it's not even going to be, it's going to be in the room, but it's going to be behind some doors. So I can easily recommend this processor at $4,000. I know it's a lot of money, but the performance, the reliability is there, and it's really good. You know, you just take my word for it. It's really, really good. This is the best this room has ever sounded, by far. It's not even close. But anyway, if you have any questions about the Anthem, my Anthem processor, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll answer them as best as I can. And again, this is going to be something that's going to be in this room. It's going to be in the new room. So going forward, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I try to answer as many questions as I can. And anyway, I'll see you in the next one.